Hello everyone, it's Curvos here, and this is my response video to Shartimus Prime's video named Prudes.
Yeah, I know it's been a while since you've been over, and I apologize for yelling at you last time, bro, but hey, while it's still a little on the sloppy side, let me know what you think of the dork room, huh?
It looks pretty good, a little sloppy. You do have your statues facing the wrong way, though.
I would respectfully disagree and say they're facing the right way.
I think the creators meant for these statues to be facing forward, and the fact that you have them all turned around with their butts showing. I mean, this one's even touching the other one's butt. I think this is a bit disrespectful and a little bit sexist, don't you think?
Prudes!
While I definitely agree with you, this guy you're using as an example here is definitely being an annoying jerk, and you should most definitely be allowed to put your figures in whatever way you want. I can't really say I've seen people like this among those accusing things of being sexist. Don't get me wrong, there are idiots who will complain over non-existing issues, but this here just feels like a very unfair straw man in an attempt to make all people accusing things of sexism look like their arguments are invalid and are making them prudes.
I am a heterosexual male, and I love women and their butt cheeks. And there is nothing wrong with that. But some say it's inappropriate. Others say it's disrespectful. Some say I'm objectifying women. And others have gone so far as to say I'm sexist for it. A Google machine over here says that the definition of sexism is attitudes or behavior based on traditional stereotypes of gender roles, 2. Discrimination or devaluation based on a person's sex or gender, as in restricted job opportunities, especially such discrimination directed against women. After reading that, I know for a fact I am not sexist.
I completely agree with you. None of the things you say right now makes you a sexist. And anyone who accuses you of being a sexist for these things are idiots.
I am for equal rights for everybody. I'm a married man. My wife works. She was actually a plumber once, and the only reason why she quit was because she didn't like it. And as a married man, I have to make sure she's happy. But you may be asking, is she happy with you looking at all those other butt cheeks? I don't really think so. But I don't have a problem with her looking at other dudes. We live very close to the beach. There's dudes with their shirts off all the time. She looks. I don't really give her a hard time. As long as no talkie or no touchy.
What? No talkie? So are you saying your wife isn't allowed to talk to other men? Even if it's about other men hitting on her, so what? As long as they don't sexually harass her and she can handle it, I don't see what problem you have with that. Unless she tells you to protect her from other men, it shouldn't be any of your business if your wife chooses to just simply talk to other men.
And that's all I'm really getting at over here is all I want to do is look. Especially while I'm reading my comic books, I find it very, very wrong that we're taking away beautiful, sexy women from our comic books.
What world do you live in? I don't see any ugly, unattractive women in any comic books I've ever seen, or own for that matter. Practically all comic books to this day have tons of beautiful, sexy women in them, so what are you even complaining about?
I've been a fan of the female form since I was a very young man, and people that write and produce comic books know this. So they try to make them sexy to appeal to young men, because that is their demographic.
Yeah, no, that's bullshit. Recent polls have proven that a large quantity of comic book readers today are women. In fact, almost half of all comic book readers are. And then let's take into account all non-heterosexual males reading comics, such as homosexuals, bisexuals, and asexuals. Suddenly, not even half of all comic book readers are heterosexual males. Though, granted, some female comic book readers are obviously lesbians or bisexual too, but it's still, regardless of that, relatively evened out.
But now we live in this 2016 world where sensitivity is standard, where people that don't even read comics have a say in how comics are being made.
A lot of the people criticizing the sexism in comics are comic book readers themselves. Sure, there are those who are not into comic books who will complain either way, and I agree they shouldn't dictate anything about comics since they don't even read them. But that's not how the comic book companies work. They only change and adapt themselves based on how much or little the target audience change.
Not piss pisses me off, man. Why are you taking away our beautiful superhero costumes from our female characters? Captain Marvel used to look so sexy, but now she's all covered up. Spider-Woman looked so sexy, but now they've changed her and gave her a jacket. Look what they've done to Psylocke. They've given her pants. Look what they've done to Rogue. They've given her a whole robe. I'm noticing it especially with Marvel comics that the characters get covered up, and I think it's very wrong that they change that.
Dude, there are still a lot of sexy female characters out there in comics. What comics have you been reading? I mean, seriously. All they're doing is changing it up so that there is more diversity with female characters in comics. You know, like it has always been with male characters. It's still to this day more sexualization of women than men in comics and media in general, since we barely ever see men show off their clean-shaven naked legs or butt cheeks.
When you're reading a comic book, it puts you in a different place. It puts you into a fantasy land. Part of that fantasy land are sexy butt cheeks! And I cannot figure out why they are taking them away. It's the people that don't read comics that see this stuff as too vulgar for children, and I think that's totally wrong because comic books have been around with revealing clothing on their female characters for decades.
I can't speak for others, but I'm completely fine with them having as much of sexy women in their comics as they want. All I'm then asking for is for them to be equal opportunists and make men sexy as well. And they do. They just happen to have a little bit of both for women now, like I said, and allowing some of the female characters to cover more up. You're still getting what you want. So like I've said before, I don't get what you're complaining about.
Now, I really think the reason why people are trying to cut down on the revealing clothing is because people honestly believe that it leads to violent crime against women. And I don't know of any proof of that. If there's proof that female sexy comic book characters lead to violent crimes against women, then I would love to know about it. Please tell me.
I've never heard anyone use this argument when it comes to this. I've only heard people say that if women in real life wear more revealing clothes, that will lead to more violence against women. Now, I do think that argument is bullshit and women should wear whatever the hell they want, but I don't see what that has to do with comics. You even yourself say this is what you think is a reason, and not a reason you've heard anyone bring up. So I don't really see the point of you bringing it up at all.
So really, just please leave them as they are, as busty, big-butted, beautiful women.
There are plenty of busty, big-butted, beautiful women in comics. Again, what are these comics you are reading? Or are you seriously being a whiny crybaby because they don't draw every single female character busty and big-butted? Yeah, because how dare they have diversity, those monsters.
Now, if you're thinking, hey, what about the muscular men's, huh? Got no problem with that either, man. Now, I'm sure most of the women going out to see these superhero movies are fans of the characters and don't just go to these movies with their boyfriends because they think Ben Affleck, Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Pratt are all the hottest guys on earth. They're not spending their 20 bucks in their night to see huge muscles on topless men. Straight women don't care about that at all. They're going just because they like the stories.
You serious?
Oh yeah, sure. Straight women always care more for stories than straight men, right? I mean, that's why Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey got popular, right? I'm genuinely starting to wonder if this guy is just trolling, or if he's genuinely this delusional and naive.
And if gay men are watching these superhero movies just for the stories, I don't have a problem with that either.
But you have a problem with if gay men watch movies for another reason than the story?
I find it wrong that we're cutting down on how revealing we're displaying women in these movies while men are being objectified more and more. Now, as much as I disagree with it, I've been told I'm not the sexiest man on earth. I've had moments where I have been objectified. Believe it or not, it's happened. From girls and guys. And I gotta say, it doesn't really bother me that much, but I can't say I'm the biggest fan of it. But that's not what I'm talking about here. See, this is about entertainment. That is about real life scenarios. And I think people make the connection from entertainment to real life scenarios. The point is that I don't think there's any harm with just looking.
Again, I agree. There's nothing wrong with looking and enjoying whatever you find to be sexy. Go for it. I'm not one to judge.
So please, give us back our sexy female comic book characters. Give us back the sexy costumes. Prudes are taking over, and they're taking away our right to look.
What? So, because some female characters are more covered up nowadays, that means prudes are taking over and taking away your rights to look? Are you fucking kidding me? Even if it now for the sake of argument really was true, and there were no sexy women in comic books, then why don't you just go online and look for free porn? There's lots of cartoon porn out there waiting for you, dude. What's the reason to complain? The only reason you seem to be complaining is because you want there to be gender double standards, where we design female characters to be nothing but eye candy for heterosexual men like you, pretending you're the only target audience for superhero comics nowadays, even though that is obviously not true. Thank you everyone for listening. Curvus out.